Krishna. Book name The Nectar of Instruction. Krishna Shurya Sama, Maya Haya Andha Kara. Yaha Krishna, Taha Nahi Maya Ra Adhikara. Krishna is just like the sun and the Maya is just like darkness. If the sun is present, there is no question of darkness. Similarly, if Krishna is present in the mind, there is no possibilities of the minds being agitated by Maya's influence. The yogic process of negating all material thoughts will not help. To try to create a vacuum in the mind is artificial. The vacuum will not remain. However, if one always think of Krishna and how to serve Krishna best, one's mind will naturally be controlled. Similarly, anger can be controlled. We cannot stop anger altogether, but if we simply become angry with those who blaspheme the Lord of the devotee of the Lord, we control our anger in Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became angry with the miscreant brothers Jagai and Madhai who blasphemed and struck Nityananda Prabhu. In his Shikshashtaka, Lord Chaitanya wrote, Tarnad api suni chena, taror api sahishnana. One should be humble than the grass and more tolerant than the tree. One may then ask why the Lord exhibited his anger. The point is that one should be ready to tolerate all insults to one's own self. But when Krishna or his pure devotee is blasphemed, a genuine devotee becomes angry and acts like fire against the offenders. Krodha, anger, cannot be stopped. But if can be applied rightly, it was in anger that Hanuman set fire to Lanka. But he is worshipped as the greatest devotee of Lord Ramachandra. This means that he utilizes his anger in the right way. Arjuna serves another example. He was not willing to fight, but Krishna incited his anger. You must fight. To fight without anger is not possible. Anger is controlled, however, when utilized in the service of the Lord. As for the urges of the tongue, we all experience all the tongue's wants to eat palatable dishes. Generally, we should not allow the tongue to eat according to its choice, but should control the tongue by supplying prasada. The devotee's attitude is that he will eat only when Krishna gives him prasad. That is the way to control the urge of the tongue. One should take prasad at scheduled time and should not eat restaurants or sweet meal shops simply to satisfy the whims of the tongue or belly. If we stick to the principle of taking only prasada, the urge of the belly and tongue can be controlled. In a similar manner, the urges of the genitals, the sex impulse, can be controlled when not usually unnecessarily. The genitals should be used to beget a Krishna conscious child, otherwise they should not be used. The Krishna consciousness movement encourages marriage not for the satisfaction of the genitals but for the begetting of Krishna conscious child. As soon as the child are a little grown up, they are sent to our Gurukul school in the Dallas, Texas, where they are trained to become fully Krishna conscious devotees. Many such Krishna conscious children are required, and no one who is capable of bringing from Krishna conscious offspring is allowed to utilize his genitals. When one is fully practiced in the methods of Krishna conscious control, he can become qualified to be a bona fide spiritual master. In his Anuvritti explanation, Upadesh Samrit, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that our material identification creates three kinds of urges: the urge to speak, the urge of demand of mind, and the demands of the body. There is three types of urges: urge to speak, the urge of demand of the mind, and the demand of the body. When a living entity falls victim to these three types of urges, his life becomes inauspicious. One who practices resisting their demands or urges is called tapasvi, or one who practices austerities. By such tapasya, one can overcome victimization by the material energy, the external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we refer to the urge to speak, we refer to useless talk, such as that the impersonal Mayavadi philosophers or a personal engaged in fruitful activities, technically called karmakand, or of materialistic people who simply want to enjoy life without restriction. All such talks or literatures are practical exhibition of the urge to speak. Many people are talking nonsensically and writing volumes of useless books, and all this is the result of the urge to speak. To counteract this tendency, we have to deliver our talking to the subject of Krishna. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Nayad vachaschitta padam harir yaso jagat pavitram pragnita karhichit tad vayasham tirtham yusanti manasha na yatra hamsa niramante yusik krashaha. Those words which do not describe the glories of the Lord, who alone can sanctify the atmosphere of the whole universe, can considered by saintly persons to be like unto a place of pilgrimage for crows. Since the all perfect persons are inhibited of the transcendental abode, they do not derive any pleasure there. Tadvag visargo janatagha vipallavo yasmina pratisalokam abadhavayate api namane anantasya yaso nukutani yat sarnavanti agayatri karnanti sadava. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, personalities, etc. of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious beliefs of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. The conclusion is that only when we talk about devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can we refrain from useless nonsensical talk. We should always endeavor to use our speaking power solely of the purpose of realizing Krishna consciousness. As for the agitation of the flickering mind, they are divided into two divisions. The first is called avirodha vritti, or unrestricted attachment, or and the other is called virod yukta krodha, anger arising from frustration. There is two division where mind will be flickering, that is avirodha priti or virodha yukta krodha. There is unrestricted attachment or anger arising from frustration. Okay, adherents to the philosophy of the Mayavadis believe in the fruitful results of the Karmavadis and believe in the planes based on materialistic desires called avirodha prati. Jananis, karmanis and materialistic plan makers generally attract the attention of conditioned soul. But when the materialistic cannot fulfill their plans and when their devices are frustrated, they become angry. Frustration of material desire produces anger. Similarly, the demand of the body can be divided into three categories: the demand of the tongue, the belly and genitals. One may observe that these three senses are physically situated in a straight line. Okay, as far as the body is concerned, and that the body demands begin with the tongue. If one can restrain the demands of the tongue by limiting its activities to the eating of prasadam, the urge of the belly and the genitals can automatically control. In this connection, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Sarira vidya jala jadendriya tahe kala jive fele visaya sagare tattara madhe jivitati lobha maya sudarmati take jeta kathi na samsare Krishna bada dayamay karibare jiva jaya sava prasada anadila bhai sei amar mitra khao Radha Krishna gun gao premada ka chaitanya nitai. O Lord, this material body is a lump of ignorance and the sense are a network of paths leading to death. Somehow or other, we have fallen into the ocean of material sense enjoyment, and of all the senses, the tongue is the most voracious and uncontrollable. It is very difficult to conquer the tongue in this world. But you, dear Krishna, are very kind to us. You have sent this nice prasad to help us conquer the tongue. Therefore, let us take this prasad to our full satisfaction and glorify your Lordship, Shri Radha and Krishna, and in love call for the help of Chaitanya and Prabhu Nityananda. There are 6 kind of rasas, tastes, and if one is agitated by any one of them, he becomes controlled by the urge of the tongue. Some persons are attracted to the eating of meat, fish, crabs, eggs and other things produced by semina and blood and eaten in the form of dead bodies. Others are attracted by eating vegetables, creepers, Spanish or milk products, but all for the satisfaction of the tongue's demand. Such eating for sense gratification, including the use of extra quantities of spices like chili and tamarind, is to be given up by Krishna conscious persons. The use of pan, haritaki, betel nuts, various spices used in pan making tobacco, LSD, marijuana, opium, liquor, coffee and tea indulge into fulfill illicit demands. If we can practice accepting only remnant of food offered to Krishna, it is possible to get free from Maya's victimization. Vegetables, grains, fruits, milk products and water are proper foods to offer to the Lord, as Lord Krishna himself prescribes. Okay. So, however, if one accepts prasad only because of its palatable taste and thus eats too much, he always falls prey to trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us to avoid very palatable dishes even while eating prasada. Okay, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us to avoid palatable dishes even while eating prasadam. If we offer palatable dishes to the deity with the intention of eating such nice food, we are involved in trying to satisfy the demand of the tongue. If we accept the invitation of a rich man with the idea of receiving palatable food, we are also trying to satisfy the demands of the tongue. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated, Jihva lalase ei iti ti dhaya sisno dhara prayana Krishna nahi paya. That person who runs here and there seeking to gratify his palate and who is always attached to the desire of his stomach and genital is unable to attain Krishna. Oh Krishna. So be careful. As stated before, the tongue, belly and genitals are all situated in a straight line and they fall in the same category. Lord Chaitanya has said, Bhala na karibo, karibe ara bhala na paribo. Do not dress luxuriously and do not eat delicious food stuff. My Lord Chaitanya said, do not dress luxuriously and do not eat delicious food stuff. Those who suffer from disease of the stomach must be unable to control the urge of the belly, at least according to this analysis. Those who suffer from diseases of the stomach must be unable to control the urge of the belly, at least according to this analysis. When we desire to eat more than necessary, or we automatically create many inconveniences in life. However, if we observe fasting days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, we can restrain the demands of the belly. As far as the urges of the genital are concerned, there are 2, proper or improper, or legal and illicit sex. When a man is properly mature, he can marry according to the rules and regulations of the Shastras and use his genitals for begetting nice children. That is legal and religious. Otherwise, he may adopt many artificial means to satisfy the demands of the genital and he may not use any restraint. When one indulges in illicit sex life as defined by the Shastras, either by thinking, planning, talking about or actually have sexual intercourse or by satisfying his genitals by artificial means, he caught in the clutches of Maya. Their instruction apply not only to householders but also to Tyagis or those who are in the renounced order of life. In his book Prema Vivarta, chapter 7, Sri Jagannananda Pandita says, वैरागी भाई गराम्या कथा ना सुनिबे काने गराम या वर्ता ना कहिबे याबे मिलिबे आने. स्वप्ने वो न करा भाई स्थिता संभासना गर्भेस्ति चदिया भाई अस्याश्च वना. यदि चाह प्रणय रखते ही ते गौरांगरे साने छोटा हरिदास हेरा कथा धाके ए न माने भाला न करीबे अरा भाला न पारिबे हरिया हरदायते राधा कृष्ण सर्वादे सेवे. My dear brother, you are in the renounced order of the life and should not listen to talk about ordinary worldly things, nor should you talk about worldly things when you meet with others. Do not think of women even in dreams. You have accepted the renounced order of the life with a vow that forbids you to associate with women. If you wish to associate with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you must always remember the incident of Chota Haridas and how we are rejected, how he was rejected by the Lord. Do not eat luxurious dishes or dress in fine garments, but always remain humble and serve their Lordship, Shri Shri Radha Krishna, in your heart of hearts. The conclusion of that, one who can control these 6 items, speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly and genitals, is to be called a Swami or Goswami. Swami means master and Goswami means master of the go or senses. When one accepts the renounced order of a life, he automatically assumes the title of Swami. This does not mean that he is the master of his family, community or society. He must be master of his senses. Unless one is master of his senses, he should not be called Goswami, but Godas, servant of the senses. Following in the footsteps of 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, all Swamis and Goswamis should fully engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As opposed to this, the Godasas engaged in the service of the senses or in the service of the material world, they have no other engagement. Prahlad Maharaj has further described the Godasas as Adanta Go, which refers to one whose senses are not controlled. And Adanta Go cannot become a servant of Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj had said, Matirna Krishne Parata Savato Va Matiyo Mito Bhi Padete Garhavaratanam Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamisram Puna Punascharvita Karvananam. For those who have decided to continue their existence in this material world for the gratification of their senses, there is no chance of becoming Krishna conscious, not by personal endeavor. By instruction from others or by joint conference, they are dragged by the unbridled senses into the darkest region of ignorance, and thus they madly engage in what is called chewing the chewed. Text 2. Can we start? Atyahara prayasascha prajalpo niyamaha grahaha jana sangascha laulyam cha sadbhir bhaktir vinashyati. One's devotional service. Translation. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane things, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or advancing the rules and regulations of the scripture and working independently or whimsically associating with worldly mind person who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, being greedy for mundane achievements. This is very important paragraph for me. There is 6 things which we should clearly and absorb in our senses. Purport. Human life is meant for plain living and high thinking. Since all conditioned living beings are under the control of Lord's third energy, this material world is designed so that one is obliged to work. Okay? The Supreme Personality of Godhead has 3 primary energies or potencies. The first is called Antaranga Shakti or the marginal potency. The second one is Tathastha Shakti or the marginal potency. The third is the Bahiranga Shakti or the external potency. The living entities constitute the marginal potency and they are situated between the internal and external potencies. Being subordinate as the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Jivatmas or atomic living entities must remain under the control of either the internal or external potency. When they are under the control of the internal potency, they display their nature constitutional activity, namely constant engagement in the devotional service of the Lord. This is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivam rakshitam asrita bhajante ananya manoshasho janatvam bhutadim avyaitam. O son of Parth, those who are not deluded, the great souls are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. The word Mahatma refers to those who are broad-minded, not cripple-minded. Cripple-minded person always engaged in satisfying their senses. Sometimes expend their activities in order to do good for others through some ism like nationalism, humanitarianism or altruism. They may reject personal sense gratification for the sense gratification of others, like the members of their family, community or society, either national or international. Actually, all this is extended sense gratification. From personal to communal to social. This may all be very good from the material point of view, but such activities have no spiritual value. The basics of such activities is sense gratification, either personal or extended. Only when a person gratifies the sense of the Supreme Lord can he be called a Mahatma or broad-minded person. There is the only point we conclude that only when a person gratifies the senses of the Supreme Lord can be called a Mahatma or broad-minded person. In the above quoted verses from Bhagavad Gita, the word Daivam Prakritam refer to the control of the internal potency or pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This pleasure potency is manifested as Srimati Radharani or her expansion Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. When the individual jiva souls are under the control of the internal potency, their only engagement is the satisfaction of the Krishna or Vishnu. This is the position of the Mahatma. If one is not a Mahatma, he is not he is a Duratma or a cripple-minded person. Such mentally crippled Duratmas are put under the control of the Lord's external potency Mahamaya. Indeed, all living entities within this material world are under the control of Mahamaya, whose business is to subject them to the influence of threefold miseries: Adhi-daivika klesha, suffering caused by the demigod, such as droughts, earthquakes, and storms, and Adhi-bhautika kalesh, suffering caused by other living entities like insects or animals. And the last, adhyatmika kalesha, suffering caused by one's own body and mind, such as mental and physical infirmities. Daiva bhutatma hetava, the conditioned soul subjected to these three miseries by the control of the external potency energy suffer various difficulties. The conditioned soul subjected to these three miseries by the control of the external energy suffer various difficulties. The main problem confronting the conditioned soul is the repetition of birth, old age, disease, and death. There is four problems which the living entity will repeat it again and again, like birth, old age, disease, and death. So in the material world, one has to work for the maintenance of the body and soul. But how can we perform such work in a way that is favorable for the execution of Krishna consciousness? Everyone requires possessions such as food, grains, clothing, money, and other necessary for the maintenance of the body. But one should not collect more than necessary for his actual basic needs. If this natural principle is followed, there will be no difficulties in maintaining the body. According to nature's arrangement, living entities lower on the evolutionary scale do not eat or collect more than necessary. Consequently, in the animal kingdom, there is generally no economic problem or a scarcity of necessities. If a bag of rice is placed in a public place, birds will come to eat a few grains and go away. A human being, however, will take away the whole bag. He will not all his stomach can hold, and they try to keep the rest in the storage. According to scriptures, this is very good example, right? According to scripture, this collecting of more than unnecessary atyahar is prohibited now. The entire world is suffering because of it. Jai Guru. Collecting and eating more than necessary also causes prayasa or unnecessary endeavor. By God's arrangement, anyone in any part of the world can live very peacefully. If he has some land and a milk cow, there is no need for man to move from one place to another to earn a livelihood. For one can produce food, grains locally and get milk from cows. That can solve all economic problems. Fortunately, man has been gives highest intelligence for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness or the understanding of the God. One relationship with him and the ultimate goal of the life, love of God. Unfortunately, so-called civilized man not caring for God realization, utilizing the senses to get more than necessary and simply eat to satisfy the tongue. By God's arrangement, there is sufficient scope for the production of milk and grains for human beings all over the world. But instead of using his higher intelligence to cultivate God consciousness, so-called intelligent men misuse their intelligence to produce many unnecessary and unwanted things. Thus, factories, slaughterhouses, brothels, and liquor shops are opened. If people are advised not to collect too many goods, eat too much, or work unnecessarily to possess artificial eminence, they think they are being advised to return to a primitive way of life. Generally, people do not like to accept plain living and high thinking. That is their unfortunate position. Such a truth. Human life is meant to God realization. Human life is meant to God realization. And the human being is given higher intelligence for this purpose. Those who believe that this higher intelligence is meant to attain a higher state should follow the instruction of the Vedic literatures by taking such instruction from higher authorities one can actually become situated in perfect knowledge and give real meaning to life. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Suta Goswami describes the proper human dharma in this way. धर्मास्य है अपावारस्य निर्थो रथाय पकालपते निर्थस्य धर्माइकान्तस्य कामो लभ्य हि समृतः. All occupational engagements, dharma, are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service, dharma, should never use material gain for cultivation of self gratification. The first step in human civilization consists of occupational engagement performing according to the scriptural instruction. The higher intelligence of a human being should be trained to understand basic dharma. In human society, there are various religious conceptions, characteristics characterized as Hindu, Christian, Hebrew, Mohammedans, Buddhist, and so on. For without religion, human society is no better than animal society. As stated above, धर्मस्य हेयपावरस्य नार्थो रथय पलकलते पते. Religion is meant for attaining emancipation, not for getting bread. Sometimes human society manufactures a system of so-called religion aimed at material advancement, but that is far from the purpose of true dharma. Religion entails understanding the laws of God, because the proper execution of this law ultimately leads one out of material entanglement. That is the true purpose of religion. Unfortunately, people accept religion for the material prosperities because of atyahara, or an excessive desire for such prosperity. True religion, however, instructs people to be satisfied with the bare necessities of the life, which cultivating Krishna consciousness, even though we required economic development, true religion allow it only for supplying the bare necessities of material existence. Jivasya tatthava jijnasya. The real purpose of life is to inquire about the absolute truth. If our endeavor, prayasa, is not to inquire about the absolute truth, we will simply increase our endeavor to satisfy our artificial needs. A spiritual aspirant should avoid mundane endeavor. Another impediment is prajalpa, unnecessary talking. When we mix with a few friends, we immediately begin unnecessary talking, sounding just like croaking toads. If we must talk, we should talk about Krishna consciousness movement. Those outside of the Krishna consciousness movement are interested in reading heaps of newspaper, magazine and novels, solving crossword puzzles and doing many other nonsensical things. In this fashion, people simply waste their valuable time and energies. In the Western countries, old men retired from activity life, play cards, fish, watch television and debate about useless social political schemes. All these and other frivolous activities are included in the prajalpa category. Intelligent person interested in Krishna consciousness should never take part in such activities. Jana Sangha refers to associating with persons not interested in Krishna consciousness. Jana Sangha refers to associating with persons not interested in Krishna consciousness. One should strictly avoid such association. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has therefore advised us to live only in the association of Krishna conscious devotees, Bhakta Sanevasa. One should always engage in the service of the Lord in the association of Lord's devotees. Association. Those engaged in a similar line of business is very conducive to advance in that business. Consequently, materialistic persons from various associations and clubs to enhance their endeavor. For example, in the business world, we find such institutions as the Stock Exchange and Chamber of Commerce. Similarly, we have established the International Society for Krishna Consciousness to give people an opportunity to associate with those who have not forgotten Krishna. This spiritual association offered by our ISKCON movement is increasing day by day. Many people from different parts of the world are joining this society to awaken their dormant Krishna consciousness. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur written in his Anuvriti commentary that too much endeavor to acquire knowledge on the part of mental speculators or dry philosophers falls within the category of atyahara, collecting more than needed. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, the endeavor of philosophical speculation to write volume of books on dry philosophical devoid of Krishna consciousness is entirely fertile. The work of karmis who write volumes of books on economic development also fall within the category of atyahara. Karmis labor to accumulate more and more money for future generation only because they do not know their future position. Interested only in getting more and more money for their son and grandson. Such foolish person do not even know what their position is going to be in the next life. There are many incidents that illustrated this point. Once a great karmi accumulated a vast fortune for his sons and grandson, but later, according to his karma, he took his birth in a cobbler's house located near the building which in his previous life he has constructed for his children. It so happened that when this very cobbler came to his former house, his former sons and daughters beat him with shoes. Unless the karmis and jananis become interested in Krishna consciousness, they will simply continue to waste their life in futile activities. Unless the karmis and jananis become interested in Krishna consciousness, they will simply continue to waste their life in fruitful activities. Please do not waste your life. Don't do atyahar. Prabhupada always said that don't take anything too much which are not are the basic needs of our life. Prabhupada always said something I read. Where is it? 1 minute. Simple living, higher thinking. Just forget. Okay. We remember that. Simple thinking, simple living, higher thinking. सारा जीवन अच्छी विचार। इस प्रोग्राम में हमसे सुना है, पर कभी नोटिस नहीं किया। Alright. Accepting some of the spiritual rules and regulations for immediate benefit as utilitarian advocate is called a niyam agraha, and neglecting the rules and regulations of the shastras which are meant for spiritual development is called niyam agraha. The word agraha means eagerness to accept, and agraha means failure to accept. By the addition of either of these two words to the word niyama, rules and regulations, the word niyama graha is formed. Thus niyama graha has a twofold meaning that is understood according to a particular combination of words. Those interested in Krishna consciousness should not be eager to accept rules and regulations for economic advancement. If they very faithfully accept spiritual rules and regulations for the advancement of Krishna consciousness, they should strictly follow the regulative principles by avoiding illicit sex, meat eating, gambling and intoxication. One should always avoid association with Mayavadis who simply blaspheme Vaishnavas, Bhukti Kamis who are interested in material happiness. Okay, one should avoid association with Mayavadis. Simply blaspheme. Okay. Who are interested in material happiness, mukti kamis, who desire liberation by merging in the existence of the formless absolute Brahman, and siddhi karmas, who desire the perfection of mystic yoga practice, are classified as atyaharis. To associate with such person is not all desirable. Desire to expand the mind by perfecting mystic yoga, merging in the existence of Brahma, or attaining Vishmical material prosperity are all included within the category of greed, lolya. Okay, you should not do lolya. All attempts to acquire such material benefits or so-called spiritual advancement are impediment on the path of Krishna consciousness. Modern welfare waged between capitalist and communist is due to their avoiding the advice of Srila Goswami regarding atyahar. Modern capitalists accumulate more wealth than necessary, and the communist, envious of this prosperity, want to nationalize all wealth and property. Unfortunately, the communists do not know how to solve the problem of wealth and its distribution. Consequently, when the wealth of the capitalist falls into the hand of the communist, no solution results. Opposed to these two philosophies, the Krishna conscious ideology states that all wealth belong to Krishna. All wealth belong to Krishna. Thus, unless all wealth comes under the administration of Krishna, there can be no solution to the economic problem of mankind. Nothing can be solved by placing wealth in the hand of communist or the capitalist. If $100, example, if $100 bill is lying on the street, someone may pick it up and put it in his pocket. Such a man is not honest. Another man may see the money and decide to let it remain there, thinking that he should not touch anyone's property. Although the second man does not steal the money for his own purpose, he is unaware of its proper use. The third man who sees the $100 bill may pick it up, find the man who lost it and deliver to him. This man does not steal the money to spend for himself, nor does he neglect it and let it lie in the street. By taking it and deliver it to the man who has lost it, this man is both honest and wise. Simply transferring wealth from capitalist to communist cannot solve the problem of modern politics. For it has been demonstrated that when a communist gets money, he uses it for his own sense gratification. The wealth of the world actually belongs to Krishna, and every living entity, man and animal, has the birthright to use God's property for his maintenance. When one takes more than his maintenance requires, be he a capitalist or a communist, he is a thief, and as such he is liable to be punished by the laws of nature. Oh Krishna. एक बार और पढ़ूंगा मैं इसको. Simply transferring wealth from capitalist to communist cannot solve the problem. अगर सारे पैसे को हम किसी कैपिटलिस्ट को या फिर कम्युनिस्ट को दे देते हैं तो उससे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं हो सकता है. For it has been demonstrated that when a communist gets money, he use it for his son's gratification. अगर उसको दे भी देते हैं तो वो अपने सन्स को ग्रेटिफाई करने के लिए यूज़ करेगा. द वेल्थ ऑफ द वर्ल्ड एक्चुअली क्या है, जो पूरा धन जो है पूरी दुनिया का एक्चुअली बिलोंग्स टू कृष्णा, वो कृष्ण का है. एंड एवरी लिविंग एंटिटी, मैन एंड एनिमल, हैज़ द बर्थ राइट टू यूज़ गॉड्स प्रॉपर्टी फॉर हिज मेंटेनेंस. और सब जीव, चाहे वो इंसान हो चाहे वो जानवर हो, हर जीव का अधिकार है उस धन को अपने मेंटेनेंस, अपने जीवन को चलाने में यूज़ करने का. When one takes more than his maintenance required, be he a capitalist or a communist, he is a thief. अगर कोई भी मेंटेनेंस से ज़्यादा चीज़ें, रिक्वायरमेंट से ज़्यादा चीज़ें अपने पास रखता है तो वो एक चोर है. और एंड एज सच ही इज़ लायबल टू बी पनिश्ड बाय द लॉ ऑफ नेचर, और उसको उस चीज़ का पनिशमेंट ज़रूर ही मिलेगा. The wealth of the world should be used for the welfare of all living entities. For that, it is the plane of mother nature. ठीक है. Everyone has the right to live by utilizing the wealth of the Lord. When people learn the art of scientifically utilizing the Lord's property, they will no longer encroaches upon one's another right. Then an ideal society can be formed. The basic principle for such a spiritual society is stated in the first mantra of Sri Isha Upanishad. Ishavashyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitaha magardha kasya savidhanam. Everything, animate or inanimate, that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself which are set aside as his quota, and should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Krishna conscious devotee know very well that this material world is designed by the complete arrangement of the Lord to fulfill all the necessities of life for such all living beings without their having to encroach upon the life or rights of one another. The complete arrangement afford the proper quota of wealth for everyone according to his real needs, and thus everyone may live peacefully according to the principle of plain living and high thinking. Unfortunately, materialistic who has neither faith in the plan of the God nor any aspiration of higher spiritual development misuse their God-given intelligence only to augment their material possessions. They devise many systems such as capitalist and materialistic communism to advance their material position. They are not interested in the laws of God or in a higher goal, always anxious to fulfill their unlimited desires for sense gratification. They are conspicuous by their activity, their abilities to exploit their fellow living beings. When human society gives up these elementary faults enumerated by Srila Rupa Goswami, Atyahar, all enmity will ceases between mean and animal, capitalist and communist and so forth. In addition, all problems of economic or political maladjustment and instability will be solved. This pure consciousness is awakened by the proper spiritual education and practice offered scientifically by the Krishna consciousness movement only. This Krishna consciousness movement offers a spiritual community that can bring about a peaceful condition in this world. Every intelligent person should purify his consciousness and rid himself of the above mentioned six hindrances to devotional service by taking wholehearted shelter of this Krishna consciousness movement. Text 3. उत्साहन निश्चयधारी तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तन संगास्थै सतो नृत्य सद्भिर भक्ति प्रदर्शयति. There are six principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service: being enthusiastic, endeavor with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulative principles such as Sarvanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Samaranam, hearing, chanting and remembering Krishna. Fifth, abandoning the association of non-devotees, following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These six principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. मैं फिर से कहूँगी. पहला है, अगर हम प्योर डिवोशन सर्विस करना चाहते हैं, उसके बाद चलना चाहते हैं, तो हमें सिक्स चीज़ें फॉलो करनी होंगी. बीइंग एंथुसियास्टिक, ठीक है, उत्साह में रहना. एंडेवर विद कॉन्फिडेंस इंक्लूड करना है. बीइंग पेशेंट, धैर्यवान होना है. एक्टिंग अकॉर्डिंग टू द प्रिंसिपल, जो चार नियम उसके पालन करने हैं. और हियरिंग, चैंटिंग यानी कृष्णा को याद करना है, सुनना है और नाम जप करना है. abandoning द एसोसिएशन ऑफ नॉन डिवोटी, और जो भक्त नहीं है उसका संग नहीं करना है. फॉलोइंग इन द फुल स्टेप ऑफ द प्रीवियस आचार्य, जो आचार्य ने कहा है, जो हमारे लिए करके गए हैं स्क्रिप्चर्स, जो उसको फॉलो करना है. देयर सिक्स प्रिंसिपल अनडाउटली एश्योर्ड. Purport. Devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation of imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has defined devotional service as follows. Devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. Srila Rupa Goswami Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has defined devotional service as follows. Anyabhilasita sunyam janana karmadya anavritam anukulya krishnanu silanam bhakti उत्तम भक्ति or unalloyed devotion unto the supreme personality of God Sri Krishna involves the rendering of devotional service in a way that is favorable to the Lord. This devotional service should be free from any extraneous motive and devoid of fruitful karma, impersonal janana and all other selfish desires. Bhakti is a sort of cultivation. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Cultivation of spirituality does not mean sitting down idly for meditation, as some pseudo yogis teach. Such idly meditation may be good for those who have information of devotional service, and for this reason, it is sometimes recommended as a way of check distraction materialistic activities. Meditation means stopping all nonsensical activities, at least for the time being. Devotional service, however, not only put as end of all nonsensical mundane activities, but also engage one in meaningful devotional activities. Srila Prahlad Maharaj recommends Sarvanam Kirtanam Vishnu Samaranam Pada Sevananam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atam Nivadanam. The 9 processes of devotional service are as follows. Hare Krishna. Hearing the name and glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, chanting His holy glories, remembering the Lord, serving the Lotus feet, worshipping the deity, offering obeisances unto the Lord, acting as the Lord's servant, making friends with the Lord, surrendering oneself fully to the Lord. हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल। Sarvanam or hearing is the first step in inquiring transcendental knowledge. One should not give oral reception to unauthorized persons but should approach the proper person as recommended in Bhagavad Gita. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashanaya sevaya upadekshanti te jananam jananinas tattva darsinam. Just try to learn the truth by approaching the spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. It is further recommended in the Mundaka Upanishad, Tad Vijnananartham Sadgurum Ivabhiga Chet. To understand that on transcendental service, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. Thus this method of submissively receiving transcendental confidential knowledge is not merely based on mental speculation. In this regard, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Rupa Goswami, Brahmanda Bharavite Kona Bhagyavana Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lala Pratap Bija. In the course of travel, ये सब चीज़ें होंगी कैसे एक्चुअली? इन द तो स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर किस संग में हमें पता होना चाहिए. Realize self-realize should can impact knowledge and approach करना होगा स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर को. In this course of traversing the universal creation of Brahman, some fortunate soul may receive the seed of Bhakti Lata, the creeper of devotion service. This is all by the grace of Guru and Krishna. यहाँ चैतन्य महाप्रभु खुद कह रहे हैं, जो भक्ति का रस है, जो भक्ति का बीज है, वो हमारे अंदर सिर्फ गुरु और कृष्णा की कृपा से ही आ सकता है. There is a quote Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 19th chapter. The material world is a place of confinement for the living entities who are by nature Ananda Maya pleasure seeking. Okay? We all are pleasure seeking. They actually want to be free from the confinement of this world in this conditional happiness, but not knowing the process of liberation, they are bound to transmigrate from one species of life to another and from one planet to another. In this way, the living entity are wandering throughout the material universe. When by good fortune one comes in contact with a pure devotee and hears from him patiently, one begins to follow the path of devotional service. When by good fortune one comes in the contact of a pure devotee and hear from him patiently, one begins to follow the path of devotional service. Such an opportunity is offered to a person who is sincere. Why am I not sincere? The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is giving such a chance to humanity at large. If by fortune one takes advantage of this opportunity to engage in devotional service, the path of liberation immediately opens. One should accept this opportunity to return home back to Godhead. By enthusiastically, without enthusiasm, one cannot be successful. Even in the material world, one has to be very enthusiastic in his particular field of activity in order to become successful. A student, businessman, artist, or anyone else who wants success in his line must be enthusiastic. Similarly, one has to be very enthusiastic in devotional service. Enthusiasm means action. But action for whom? The answer is that one should always act for Krishna. Krishnartha khila chesta bhakti rasamrit sindhu. In all phase, the answer is that one should act for Krishna. सब कब आया है दिन? हम सब कृष्ण के लिए phases of life, one has to perform devotional activities under the direction of the spiritual master in order to attain perfection in Bhakti Yoga. It is not that one has to confine or narrow one's activities. Krishna is all pervading. Therefore, nothing is independent of Krishna, or Krishna himself is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Tattvam Idam Sarvam Jagad Avayapta Murtina Matsthani Sarva Bhutani Nachayavam Tesva Avastitaha. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervading. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master, one has to make everything favorable for Krishna's service. Under the direction of bona fide spiritual master, one has to make everything favorable for Krishna's service. For example, at present we are using a dictaphone. The materialistic who invented this machine intended it for businessmen or writers of mundane subject matter. He certainly never thought of using the dictaphone in God's service. But we are using the dictaphone to write Krishna conscious literature. Of course, the manufacture of the dictaphone is wholly within this energy of Krishna. All the part of the instrument, including the electronic function, are made from different combination and interaction with the 5 basic types of material energy, namely Bhumi, Jala, Agni, Vayu, Akash. The inventor used his brain to make this complicated machine, and his brain as well as the ingredient were supplied by Krishna. According to the statement of Krishna, Matsthani Sarva Bhutani, everything is dependent on my energy. Thus, the devotee can understand the sincere nothing is independent of Krishna's energy. Everything should be devoted in his service. Endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness is called Utsah. Or enthusiasm. The devotees find the correct meaning by which everything can be utilized in the service of the Lord. Nirbandhan. Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. The execution of devotional service is not a matter of idle meditation, but practically action in the foreground of spiritual life. These activities must be executed with patience. One should not be impatient in Krishna consciousness. Just like me, you should follow this principle. You should not be impatient. Indeed, the Krishna consciousness movement was started single-handedly, and in the beginning there was no response. But because we continue to execute our devotional activities with patience, people gradually began to understand the importance of this movement, and now they are eagerly participating. One should not be impatient in discharging devotional service, but should take instruction from the spiritual master and execute with them patience. Okay, but should take instruction from the spiritual master and execute them with patience. Depending on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. The successful execution of Krishna consciousness activities requires both patience and confidence. A newly married girl naturally expected offspring from her husband, but she cannot expect to have them immediately after marriage. Of course, as soon as she is married, she can attempt to get a child, but she must surrender to her husband, confident that her child will develop and be born in due time. Similarly, in devotional service, surrender means that one has to become confident. The devotees think avasya rakshive Krishna. Avasya rakshive Krishna. Hari Bol. I have a lack of confidence. As already explained, one should not be idly but should be very enthusiastic about executing the regulative principle tat tat karma pravartana. Neglect of the regulative principles will destroy devotional service. In this Krishna consciousness movement, there are four basic regulative principles forbidding illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. A devotee must be very enthusiastic about following this principle. If he becomes slack in the following any of them, his progress will certainly be checked. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore recommends tat tat karma pravartana. One should strictly follow the regulative principle of Vaidhi Bhakti. In addition to this four prohibition yama, there are positive regulative principle niyama, such as the daily chanting of 16 rounds of the japa mala beads. This regulative activity must be faithfully performed with enthusiasm. This is called tat tat karma pravartana, or varied engagement in devotional service. Furthermore, in order to be successful in devotional service, one must give the association of undesirable people. One should give up the association of undesirable people. This includes karmis, jananis, yogis, and others non-devotee. Once Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked by one of his householder devotee about the general principle of Vaishnavas as well as the general routine activities of the Vaishnava, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately replied, Asat Sangha Tyagi, ei Vaishnava Achara. Characteristically, a Vaishnava is one who gives up the association of worldly people. Sri Narottam Das Thakur has therefore recommended Tandera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanevasa. One has to live in the company of pure devotee and execute the regulative principle laid down by the pious Acharya. The six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Jeev Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. If one lived in the association of pure devotees, there is little chance of associating with non-devotees. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness is opening many centers just to invite people to live in the company of devotees and practice the regulative principles of spiritual life. Devotional service means transcendental activities on the transcendental platform. There is no contamination by the three modes of material nature. This is called Visuddha Sattva, the platform of pure goodness or goodness free from contamination by the qualities of passion and ignorance. In this Krishna consciousness movement, we require everyone to rise early in the morning. Oh Krishna. In this Krishna consciousness movement, we require everyone to rise in the morning, early in the morning by 4 a.m. and attending Mangala Aarti or morning worship, and then read Srimad Bhagavatam, performing Kirtan and so forth. Thus, we hold continuous activities in devotional service 24 hours daily. This is called Sato Vritti, or following the footsteps of the pious acharyas who expertly filled every moment of time with Krishna consciousness activities. If one strictly follow the advice Sri Rupa Goswami, namely being authentic, being confident, being patient, giving up all the association of unwanted people, following the relative principles, and remaining in the association of the devotees. One is such an advanced devotional service. Sure, in advanced devotional service. In this regard, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur remarks that the cultivation of knowledge by philosophical speculation, by collection of mundane opulence, by the advancement of fruitful activities, and the desire for yoga siddhis, material perfections, are all contrary to the principle of devotional service. One has to become thoroughly callous to such non-permanent activities and turn his intentions instead of to the regulative principle of devotional service. According to Bhagavad Gita, या निशा सर्वा भूतानां तस्यां जगरति संयमी यस्यायां जगरति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुने. What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-control, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective stage. Engagement in the devotional service of the Lord is the life and the soul of the living entity. It is desired goal and supreme perfection of human life. One has to become confident about this, and one also has to be confident that all activities other than devotional service, such as mental aspiration, shooting, or mystic endeavor, will never yield any enduring benefit. Never yield any endeavor benefit. Complete confidence in the path of devotional service will enable one to attain his desired goal, but attempting to follow other paths will only succeed in making one restless. In the seventh canto, complete confidence in the path of devotional service will enable one to attain his desired goal, but attempting to follow the other paths will only succeed in making one restless. In the seventh canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, one must be calmly convinced that those who have given up devotional service to engage in severe austerities for other purpose are not purified in their mind despite their advanced austerities, because they have no information of the transcendental loving service of the Lord. It is further stated in the seventh canto, although mental speculators and furtive actions may perform great austerities and penances, they still fall down because they do not have information about the lotus feet of the Lord. The devotee of the Lord, however, never fall down. In Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead assures Arjuna, Kaunteya prati janinahi name bhakta prashanti. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Again in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, मैं थोड़ा इंटरेक्ट नहीं करती हूँ. Again in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, नेहा भी कर्मा नासोस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पा अपय अस्य धर्मस्य तृप्येतमहो तभायात. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution and a little advancement on this path that can protect from the most dangerous type of fear. Devotional service is so pure and perfect that having begun, one is forcibly dragged to ultimate success. Sometime a person will give up his ordinary material engagement and out of sentiment take center of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and thus begin the preliminary execution of devotional service. Even if such an immature devotee falls down, there is no loss on his part. On the other hand, what is the gain of one who executes the prescribed duties according to his varna and ashram but does not take to devotional service? Although a fallen devotee may take his next birth in a low family, his devotional service will nevertheless resume from where it left off. Oh Krishna. Devotional service is ahutuki pratikata, It is not the effect of any mundane cause, nor can it be terminated by any mundane cause or permanently curtailed by any material interruption. Therefore, a devotee should be confident about his engagement and should not be very interested in the activities of karmanis, jhananis and yogis. There are certainly many good qualities among fruitive actors, philosophical speculation, and mystic yogis, but all good qualities automatically develop in the character of a devotee. No extraneous endeavor in needed, as confirmed by Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 18th chapter, 12th sloka. All the good qualities of the demigod manifest progressively in one who has developed pure devotional service. Because a devotee is not interested in any material activities, he does not become material contaminated. He is immediately situated on the platform of the transcendental life. However, one who engages in mundane activity, be he a so-called Jnani, Yogi, Karmi, philanthropist, nationalist, or whatever, cannot attain the highest stage of Mahatma. He attains a Duratma, a cripple-minded person, according to Bhagavad Gita. Mahatmanastu smam partha devim prakritim ashritah bhajante ananya manosho jatva bhuttatim avayayam. O son of Parth, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Since all the devotees of the Lord are under the protection of His supreme potency, they should not deviate from the path of devotional service and take to the path of the Karmi, Jnani or Yogi. This is called Utsahan, Nishchad, Dharita, Tat Karma, Pravartanat. Enthusiastically executing the regulated activities of devotional service with patience and confidence. In this way, one can advance devotional service without hindrance. So, be confident and be patient in devotion. We should guaranteedly achieve Krishna Prema, Krishna Bhakti in this life. Hare Krishna.